Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you here on Create with Franz, talking about how to create the life that you want using mindset and neuroscience and a lot more stuff because I'm very polyedric. I like art and lots of stuff. So you have to excuse me if I come up with a new topic every time, always related to your mental wellness. Because let's say it, you can be rich, you can be famous, but if you're not feeling good about yourself and good with your environment, what's the point? You can't enjoy anything. And this is something that's really related to what's going on today. And the thing is, we have is AI slop, AI jobs, AI filter. It's
hmm
everywhere. And it's really permeating anything that you think about. It's just like when you open a jar of olive oil straight from Italy and everything falls off and you have this and it goes everywhere and you cannot stop it. You just cannot stop it.
hmm
AI is everywhere. And it's a great tool. I think it's amazing. I use it extensively, but I do not let him take away my humanity. But there are
hmm
cases when AI becomes an anesthetic, a substitute for relationships that don't exist or for therapists. And so that's
hmm
why we have here Douglas Clarke, all the way from California, to tell us, well, today in New York, to tell us all about this depression and anxiety and these problems that
hmm
can be connected to AI when not used properly. So let's welcome to the show and introduce yourself so we can just understand what's your background and what you do so we see what's
Sure.
your point of view. Here we go.
Thank you, Franz. Yes, my name is Douglas Clarke. I am an artist and also a technologist, so I kind of sit in a very interesting intersection of these topics. And yeah, so I'll start just with my entire career and my entire life has been creating new technologies, especially for media applications. And in the last 10 years, I have studied very deeply machine learning, deep learning, and AI. But I have also spent the last 2 years as mainly a playwright. Um, Writing very dramatic plays that usually are tragedies, and they have to do with mental health issues that I think that we all experience and are a little bit. It's a little bit difficult to speak about. You don't want to speak to your friends about the bad feelings that you're having or the troubles you're having, and so I am looking towards art as a way to expose us to make sure that we're not feeling alone and we can have a context to talk about these feelings. And my most recent play, which I'm coming out with again in June in Los Angeles, it's called Anxious Attachment, and it has very much to do directly with the issues of AI creating a substitute for relationships that help to deteriorate mental health.
So that's a lot of stuff that you're doing, and you have a lot of knowledge. So you see from
Mhm.
within what's
Yes,
going
exactly.
on there, right?
hmm
So this new play, the anxious attachment, it sounds like one of my
hmm
psychology manuals when I was preparing to be a therapist. And I
Right.
was thinking, why does this perfect AI chatbot that is always consistent, is never tired of us, and is
hmm
always there?
hmm
How does this prevent us from actually developing the skills that we need to live in the world without going to the therapist? How is that mechanism working?
Yeah. So anxious attachment in particular, of course, is an attachment style, and there's the four attachment styles, and that's a whole other topic to get into that. But anxious attachment is something that I relate to personally. It's kind of my attachment style, and it's the kind of thing where even though you may establish very good relationships with other people, there's an anxiety that underlies it where it's like at any moment you think, oh, this person may abandon me. They may see fault in me. It may evaporate for one reason or another. And it's the kind of thing, too, where that may stem from a very strong self doubt that may end up actually self actualizing. It's like, because, of this anxiety that I carry, it may actually affect the relationship in a negative way and become a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so what what I'm trying to expose in the context of my play, my main character in my play, I really relate to deeply because anxious attachment is something that I've had to deal with in my own life. And it's where they start connecting with an AI chatbot. in my play, it's not exactly as AI chatbots appear today. In my play, there's a little bit more where they take kind of a human form. So whether that's a psychosis that he's developing or some point in the future where there is maybe a human or hallucination or something like that, that's kind of up to the art and up to the interpretation of the audience. But what happens is that he gets to recreate relationships in his life. A first love, a best friend who committed suicide at one point, a boss authority figure that he looked up to, and attached himself in a way where he feels, he doesn't have to have this anxiety behind it because ultimately they're programmed to be there for him no matter what. And there isn't a fear of loss. There's almost a security there that the AI has created. And what happens is in this particular play is that his brother is very concerned because and this is something that is now being documented as people are becoming attached to these AI entities, whatever they are, chatbots. They then cannot relate as strongly to actual existing relationships as they exist. Whereas he had a relationship with his brother before, the relationship he feels with the AI bots is having him take that anxious attachment and feel so fearful of attaching to his brother that he basically cannot even maintain the most basic relationship with someone who's very real in his life. And this is something that I'm just seeing out there start to happen with people.
You actually see this happening. Give me an example because I don't live in the world. I'm in rural Wyoming. So
Yeah,
what's
yes.
going on?
Well, and what's very interesting is that I actually even though I live in California, I've been born and raised in California and Silicon Valley and all of that. I even set my play in Savannah, Georgia, kind of like very far away from tech because I want to show that, even people are not deep in tech, they don't understand exactly what's happening. They just know that these tools are out there and they start to experience it. But there was a doctor, oh my goodness, and I cannot remember his name. I should have this in my notes. But I will also cite my own psychotherapist, Dr. Paul Miller, who I don't know, we spend as much time in therapy as we do talking outside of therapy about AI, because him as a PhD psychologist out there with the 40-year practice in the world, he is starting to see that as people are finding this comfort and this validation in AI chatbots and such, the work that he tries to do with patients like myself to understand that we aren't out here in the world in order for everyone to kind of bend and you know exist in relation to our desires and comforts, that we have to exist as independent people in the world and relate to people with the challenges of maybe not being able to relate on every level, or maybe them not understanding everything we're going through without our sharing it, or that they have a life and difficulties that we may not understand that may affect our relationship. All these tools and these things that he is working with his own patients is being kind of pushed aside because it's so much more comfortable to just relate to this AI, that where you don't have to deal with any of those challenges. And that's where it deteriorates the real human relationships, because to relate to another human, it means challenges. It means, putting aside your ego at times, trying to understand that people may not relate to you the way exactly you want to relate to them, and it's an exchange, it's a relationship, right? And so that's the danger that doctors like my own therapist and others that I have been reading about have concerns about in this particular situation that we're facing now.
Yes. I think it's very sad because I use Gemini. I tried all of them, but Gemini is the one I started when it was called Bard. Like, how
Yes,
long
right. Mhm.
has it been? And I know this is so affirmative of whatever you're saying. So whatever you
Yes, it's very
say
sycophantic.
is true, is centered around what you're saying. And then if it
Mhm.
makes a very glaring mistake and I say, well, actually, this is
Yeah,
not what you're saying, then it's like, oh, yeah, I admit I've done this, but before, if you don't realize what's going on, I can write, oh, I really hate my whatever relative or friend or a
Yes,
work
yes.
colleague, what can I do? And I can put it in such a way that I am the victim and they are the attacker. And who knows what strategy would give me?
Exactly.
It doesn't have
It'll
common
affirm the
sense.
position you want to, yeah, it'll affirm the position you give it, no
Yeah.
matter what.
And because it's
Hmm.
so affirmative, I think when we have delusions or
Hmm.
grandeur or
Hmm. Hmm.
victimization stuff, we might, I'm a frog, I identify as a frog, everything says I'm a frog. He
Hmm.
looks like a frog, think I'm a frog.
Hmm.
And I'm
Hmm.
sure that Germany would tell me, yes, you are. If you feel like that, that's it. They don't care
Yes,
what to
right,
tell. So
right.
it's just crazy because the more we affirm something, the more we are digging into these neural pathways and creating
Hmm.
a reality
Yes,
that doesn't exist. And
exactly.
so there's nobody there like a therapist to tell us, no, hold on a minute. This is you cannot cut off all your family just because they don't vote Trump like you. You cannot cut off your
Yes,
boss
right.
just because he's not Jewish like you or Italian like you. You cannot.
Hmm.
That's a proper therapist will call up and say, no, 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 no. But Germany doesn't. And as a therapist, I'm in a lot of forums and I read people that are saying, oh, I use ChatGPT and it really helped
Hmm.
me. And I can
Hmm.
understand maybe at midnight one day you are up and you can sleep, a little chat with Gemini or whatever.
Hmm. Hmm.
But then if your whole week is gone with seeking those relationships and those
Hmm.
affirmations from a bunch of chips,
Yeah.
that's an issue. That's an issue. What do you do
So,
now? What do you do
right.
now?
So that's the thing is that so what I'm trying to do with also not only my art but my leadership in the tech world. For example, like right now I sit on the executive committee of the Science and Technology Board of the peer group of the Television Academy, and I am leading an educational program about the use of AI tools in production workflows, for example. So something that I'm doing is I'm trying my very best to take, for example, my 10 years of study and understanding about how AI systems are built and they're trained and how they operate, and try to educate others so that they have the full context of what these are and how they work, so then they can treat them appropriately. And to try to like really simplify, in just a few words, like, how it, and I just had a conversation last night over drinks, here in New York with an investment banker who's trying to understand AI, right? And I said, and what we agreed with is like, when you talk to it, it's like, imagine you're talking to, I don't know, a very enthusiastic child or a very enthusiastic, even a very enthusiastic high school graduate or college graduate, because they are very smart about a lot of things, but they lack life experience. They don't actually understand the subtleties of how anything works on a deeper human level, and that's the truth. And so, if you do that and you take it appropriately, and you know that it's going to be sycophantic, that it's going to always take your side, that then in a way it's like you can approach it with with a healthier awareness and perspective about exactly what it is and how it's going to help you. And that's the way I operate with it. I interact with it, and I say I have like a very healthy. I mean, from what I know and my work with my own therapist, I have a very healthy relationship with AI because I'm trying to put it in the right context of what it's capable of, what it's there to do, and how to interact with it, and not make it more than what it's capable of. And I think that that's, I don't know, it's almost like that education, that discussion, that openness needs to exist. And it's not going to come from the AI companies because they just want to maximize use no matter what. And so that's why we're talking today, I think.
Yes, and I've been talking for months. I started, I think, in end of August to see
Mm,
that this was gonna turn a little bit fancy because we don't realize this is not
mhm.
just saying we're going from a reflex camera to a DSLR.
Yes,
We are going
right.
to, this is a much bigger quantum step, and we might become, unable to use our brain to work out connections
Mm,
and
yes.
conclusions, which is something that's the growth. I know there are shortcuts, but when I see people creating 10 new courses in a week and selling
Mm,
them for thousands of
yeah.
dollars, and how did you do that? Oh, you're just picking up something, mining data from the internet. Well, that's not
Mm,
what happened to the growth of you as a creator, as an
yeah.
educator. So all this stuff is just missing. So when you go and talk to people about your experience, guess what? You have nothing. You did
Yeah,
not experience that, and so you cannot share.
exactly.
It's it's a lot of problem here, and that's why I've been
It's
talking
like very
about.
surface level, short term. I mean, yes,
Mm,
it may seem like it's good. It may solve an immediate problem,
mm,
but what life is about like the depth of humanity, the long term effect of our actions and our relationships. Those are things that I think it's hard enough. That's the thing, is that even before AI, it's hard enough in our culture, in our fast moving culture, in our short attention span culture, to dig into that depth. And I mean, I've been doing that with my therapist for over 20 years and I'm still working on it. And so yeah, the AI has just become this accelerant, where it's like we're taking our hardest challenges and then making them harder, which is difficult, if that makes sense.
let's say that we are adding to this potluck of what our mental health can be sometimes another
Yeah,
challenge, because this is not an entity that we can hold responsible for any of the decisions that we're going to
right.
make or our conclusions. I was reading this week about this company. They're doing, I think they have a data of lots of other companies, and then suddenly
Mhm.
they are using an AI agent, and all their data was wiped by the agent.
Yes, right.
And I was like, this can happen in a much bigger scale and
Mhm.
not just like that. What if we start having those implant devices that apparently
Right,
you
right.
can learn a language, just put it in there. Okay, wonderful. I speak 5 languages, so it takes a lot of work. But
Mhm, mhm,
if I could have this device and then the device started to control me, how about that?
mhm, mhm,
And we're
mhm.
letting it go, and it's like a camel in the tent. I don't know if you know the story. There's
No,
a
I don't know that
camel,
one exactly. Mhm,
there's a man in the desert, and he's in a tent, and it's very warm
mhm,
in the tent, very cold outside.
mhm.
So his camel is like, "Can I put my nose inside? It's quite cold."
Yes.
The guy said, "Of course." So the camel put the nose, and after 10 minutes, the camel goes, "It's still
I can see
cold.
where
Can
this
I
is
put
going.
my head?" And
Mhm.
eventually, can I? The camel is all inside the tent, and it pushes out in the typical camel
Yes,
style the poor
exactly.
traveler out of a tent. And
That's a good analogy, actually. I like that one.
if you think about AI, oh, it's so useful.
Mhm,
I'm now saving so much time so I can do something else more important.
mhm.
But there has to be a boundary there. So here's my other question. How do we identify the moment when we are reaching to the chat box and whatever we call them for comfort and for the
Yeah.
important advice? When do we know now that's the time to go to a friend? When that's the time
Yes,
to go to
yes.
a therapist?
And the thing that's hitting for me when you say that is I feel like it's like we know it when it's a lot of like other addictions. If we feel that we kind of have a need to, it's the same way like if you are an alcoholic and you just have that moment where you need a drink, or if you have another addiction, you just feel like you need that hit of whatever it is. I think that that's the moment where you say, hey, like maybe this isn't the right place to go when I feel this need. So if you have this desire where it's like you can't relate to anybody and the only one who can really understand and listen right now is ChatGPT or whatever, and that's where you go to it. I mean, I don't mean like stop and just not go to it, but start to gain an awareness at that point that this may be something where you're creating an unhealthy relationship that if you don't start to recognizing it at that point, then it may continue down a path that you may not want to go down. And I think that that may be the critical moment for people.
That is critical, especially if we are feeling that it has helped us. So we have
Mhm.
our view, oh no, it was so useful. And it is useful if you want to do some daily boring tasks that, if I
Yes, yes.
say, I'm teaching my Italian lesson to my students on Zoom here for the university, and I'm like, okay, can you give me a list of 20 verbs that ends in are, ere, nire? Fantastic. I
Hmm,
don't have to
hmm, hmm.
type. That's useful. But the moment they say,
Absolutely,
can you
yeah.
design me the entire lesson with all the handouts, with all the images, with all things? I'm just reciting the lesson. I just start to feel a little bit like I'm going to even forget my language here because AI is
Hmm,
doing it all.
hmm,
It doesn't sound right. I tried even a chat in different languages. Say maybe I can keep up my Greek and my Arabic and my whatever other
hmm.
languages using German. I tried last week using voice, and it was a bit horrible.
Yeah, yes, I know. And that's the interesting thing. So in my own use, so I am a technologist and I am actually trying to create and promote good uses of AI. And I think that it starts with that understanding of what it is, what it's capable of, and then how to put the right boundaries around it, right? And actually, it's very interesting because even at the very root, so I work with somebody from NVIDIA, and right now, for example, at NVIDIA, they understand that the AIs are getting so powerful that people need tools to almost contain them in the proper context. And that's what they're working on right now. And so the next evolution of even from the technology side is that, yes, like you said, if you let an AI agent loose in your corporate infrastructure, it can wipe out something that you don't want it to wipe out. So the big push right now, as far as the very roots of the creators of these tools, especially on the hardware side, is to create the proper containers and then empower the people that basically are responsible for the AI to be able to be responsible. Meaning, there's going to be focus on AI governance, on new roles being created in companies where ultimately a person has to be responsible because like you said an AI you give it responsibility and it may do something that you may not even understand. You may not even understand how it arrived there and it may not be able to communicate with you the logic that it did because it's using a logic that's not human. And so what I want to say is that as a technologist, it is up to us, and that's where I'm working very hard with amazing colleagues, in the industry, to contain and educate people to understand how to extract the best use of this amazing technology that's coming out and do it in a way where we don't lose our humanity, we don't lose ourselves, and we don't abdicate responsibility for what the AI may do.
Yes, indeed, and I'm very worried about what's going to happen to all the acting world,
Yes,
voiceovers.
yes,
I
yes.
interviewed one of the top voiceover artists a couple of weeks ago, Tish Hicks, and she was telling me all about the humanity of voiceovers. And now I
Hmm.
just wonder, why are we always looking for the shortcut? We are
Yes, I know.
trying to do things faster, to be more productive, to go faster. So we get a promotion, we get more fame, we get more money. But at the end of the day, with the technology off, we can't do anything then. That's worrying. And we are
Well, I mean, I
stuck.
always wonder. I always wonder when something's so economically driven that you cut out all the workers, and then who's going to have the money to buy the thing you're offering to begin with? I mean, it's like the
Mm.
economic system is complex and it has all these different layers, and I always wonder where we're shortcutting the supply side and sacrificing demand. Then of course the economic model collapses. But I do want to mention that. So another thing that I am doing is I am the CTO of my own tech startup, and that is called Sides. And what that is speaking directly to what you're talking about. It is a platform where I am trying to elevate and connect and create a comprehensive service platform for actors, for voiceover artists, for those that are actually in the dramatic arts, to elevate and enhance. And smooth out all the technological hurdles so that they can focus on the performance, so that we can ease the way using technology, using some AI to ease the path towards promoting a human art. And that's where also my step in theater is. I mean, I love that I'm doing theater too, because that has to be human. That's all 100% human, because humans show up and they watch humans on stage, and that's all it is. So anyway, I'm trying my best to create my own kind of world and do what I can with those around me and those I can affect to use AI in the proper way to actually enhance these arts and this humanity that we find so valuable.
That's a very good project. And you guys, I will be putting links of all the projects that Douglas is working on, so you can
Oh,
see,
excellent! Thank
follow
you.
him. And these are links that stay forever because the description of the show will remain there on iTunes, on YouTube, etc., Libsyn, so whatever
Mhm.
Podchaser. So you will be able to keep going and say, actually, some people are fighting this. And just as a side note, but it might take me to talk for 40 minutes, I have to hold my horses, is that, yes, the main advisors in some of the areas in the government for Trump are 10 billionaires. There is 9 billionaires, and
Mhm.
one is a scientist, the others are billionaires. And
Mhm.
they have all an interest. So we have to understand the government, this is not conspiracy theories, but the government
Oh, yes,
accepts
yes,
the point of view
yes.
from very rich people. And these are the
Yes.
people who own the big companies. And they're making lots of money by not hiring real people and hiring instead
Yes.
a computer. So
Right.
you have a slightly biased view on what's going to happen when a person that has millions of dollars can make such decisions, while there are people in the States who can't
Hmm.
arrive to the end of a month, can't pay for the dentist. So when they lose the job and they can't get an entry
Yeah.
level job because AI is doing them all, so we're going to the ethics. So
Hmm.
my big introduction was this, that maybe AI ethics and responsibility and legal entity responsibility will be an
Hmm.
area of development in the next
Yes.
3 to 5 years before AI wipes us all, not as an idea that is going to kill us all, but it's going to
Yeah.
kill the human soul because we will put profit before the survival of thousands and thousands of people who can't get a job.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's how we're now saying, oh, we're gonna give a fixed income to anyone, so they can
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
buy the thing. The one I was like, but what about working so you can get the satisfaction and just
Of course. That's a mental health right there. Is like,
yeah,
purpose and doing
yes,
completing a job, and yeah.
yeah, and knowing that
Exactly.
you're not useful to society because you actually paid, like it's like literally being on benefit on social security, benefit in England it's called, and that you just get this money because you can work, but you just know
Yes.
down inside, oh, I can't work. And sometimes you can because you're disabled or whatever. But
Hmm.
what
Hmm.
if you're
Hmm.
a 20-year-old and you can't work because the system is not designed for you to work because they
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
keep getting your job? So our mental health is going to be very important here. What are your
It's
tips and your, wrap around the topic here to get people to understand what's going on and how we can use AI in a way that doesn't destroy humanity?
Yeah. I think that on a very personal level and kind of for everyone out there, what I am noticing is that if you almost reinvest and re-examine the relationships that you have with people in your life, whether it's family, friends, coworkers, open up and actually, it's interesting. I even carry a little bit of a shame, and I think we all do sometimes, with how much we may use AI or ChatGPT. Some people are very open about it. Some people feel like almost embarrassed about like how much. But I mean, I think that what it is that we have to open up, communicate about our relationship with AI, our relationship with each other, but in a way too, I think with the awareness that AI is starting to eat away at our relationships, almost recommit ourselves to our human relationships and understand that we are going to have to do a little bit more work to overcome that and create and maintain those connections that we all really desire. And that's the thing, is that no one wants to be alone, right? And that's why the shortcut of AI is so tempting, right? So it's almost like with that awareness, redouble your efforts and do it with hopefully you're with your psychologist, with your colleagues, with your create almost whole communities where we all are aware that this is a challenge and that we have to do more to connect and overcome them. And I think people feel that too with the way the government is right now, that the way that it's like there's a desire, but it's like we have to do the work to connect with our each other in humanity. And I think the arts is a great place to do it, and that's where I'm trying to do
Yes.
it as well.
And I feel so sorry because many years ago in England, we had a bank. You can go to the bank and talk to the bank manager and sort out your
Yes.
stuff. And then decided
Right.
to put, there was just one person at the till and the bank manager. And all the call centers moved to India because it's cheaper.
Yes.
So
Right.
now
Exactly.
with
It's always
AI,
economically driven.
yeah, so all these people lost their job, right?
Yeah.
And I
Hmm.
used to work in marketing. So when I used to work in marketing, there were hundreds of people working in this field, and now they're all gone
Hmm.
because there are call centers in India, Nepal, Pakistan. Okay,
Yeah.
so now when AI goes a little bit better, we're gonna have robots and artificial voices, and you are never talking to a person like on Facebook. I
Exactly.
monetize
Hmm.
on Facebook. Can you actually talk to anyone? I've been fighting for months. I cannot talk to a single person.
Hmm.
It's all
Single human being. Yeah.
and all I'm getting in the same identical email back over and over and over. Nobody is seeing that email with a
Yeah.
response and nothing. So think about all these hundreds of millions of people who are using these, call centers or whatever, they can't get a job. All these voiceover
Hmm.
actors, all these artists. So this is happening and it's happening fast, but we can actually stop some of it and say, hey, do you know what? We can choose. We can use AI for this, but not for that. If AI is
Mm-hmm.
taking away all the jobs because of profit, maybe people can choose to say, I'm not going to work with a company that's only employing computers because we want to work. We want to do feel that we are useful for society, that we're doing something, although maybe the 95 to job can change. And in
Yeah.
the arts especially, that is so important. I don't want to go and watch a bunch of robots playing baseball. so,
Hmm.
but
Exactly.
that's
Yes.
coming.
Yeah.
China
And I
has
want to
a
say
robot.
it's funny for me too. It's funny because I've been talking to some friends about this. I use the way my use of AI actually has made me more challenged, more busy, more productive than ever. Because I, like a lot of creative people, like to procrastinate, and I get writer's block sometimes. Sometimes I don't really know what I have to do next, and I'm overwhelmed. What I do is in those situations, I sometimes, go to my favorite AI agent, whatever, and I just say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. I need to get started on this. Help me out. It kicks off something. And usually it's something I don't like. And then that'll motivate me to like say, no, 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 not that, this. And I'll start, you know what I mean? I use it as almost an adversarial force to incentivize me and motivate me to work because it's giving me something to work with. And I think that that's been really incredible. And I literally feel more productive now than I ever have in my life. Because before, when I didn't have that, I don't know, I may just get dejected or despondent and tired and go take a nap or watch some TV or, you know what I mean? But now it's like, I just pop something open and I'm like, oh, I want to do this. Like, what do you think? And it'll start coming up with stuff. And usually I'll be like, no, 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 you don't get it. I want to do that. And then I'll motivate me to like actually do what I need to do. So I don't know. It's a very interesting way that I'm starting to interact with it, but it's making me very productive and making me, it's incentivizing me to actually bring more of my own creative juices out because I
Mhm.
want to almost overcome what it's coming up with because I don't like what it's coming up with. And think I can do better than that. So it incentivizes me to actually beat. It's like a game a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if others are finding that.
Well, it all depends on personality. I'm an artist, but I'm certainly not
Mm.
a procrastinator. I have a list of things, a task list, calendars, and all sorts.
Ah,
And
yes.
then sometimes I'm like, oh, I have so much to do. When I say, can you do me a new layout for my routine? And it comes up with this
Mhm.
rubbish layout because it's impossible.
Exactly right. Yes, yes.
Absolutely impossible. I'm like, no, I can't do that. But also the fun thing about, especially German, I've also chat GPT, and I haven't used Claude much, so I don't know. But I asked
Mhm.
one question. How about I start a business in Zimbabwe selling red pots? Okay.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it doesn't give me one answer. It gives me pages of stuff. I'm like, stop. I'm not going to
Yes.
read all that. I just want to
Right.
know about that. And then it can go, do, 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 do,
Mhm.
do. I'm like, look, I'm a human. I can't possibly do all that. So
That's-
slow you down, baby, and just give me
yes.
2 steps at a time. And it still goes, and I'm like, you're
Yeah.
giving me too
Mhm.
much information. So
Yes.
it's just dumping on you all the time. I'm like, I can't cope with that. It's like a really chatty wife that keeps going. So we
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
put boundaries on this AI to tell him what to
We
do, right?
do. And I mean, of course we know too, like when it's doing all that, it's using energy, it's wasteful. It's like, and it's like we don't want more just stuff out there. We don't need more, slop, they call it, right? And so that's another thing that yes, as technologists that are leaders in AI, we have a responsibility to also cap that stuff and put it in the right context so that we're not just generating reams of information that's useless and burning energy doing it. So there's even responsibility we carry there which we need to address as
Yeah.
technologists.
Absolutely. And if there were some final words, I would want you to say them. But yes, there is an aspect to using Photoshop, using the cloud, using
Mhm.
electricity, using data centers and storage. But now with the data centers that exist for AI, we're talking about a huge consumption of water, electricity,
Yes.
and
Hmm.
they're not manned by people. There are hardly any people. And then there's a hum
Yes.
in there, and the electricity bills are going up for everyone, and that is not
Exactly.
sounding very good. And when they're
Right.
near a house, people are starting to say, this is not good. So I'm just a bit worried that for the sake of being fast and convenient, we're
Yeah.
sacrificing a lot of stuff.
Exactly. There's always a cost, It's not.
Yeah.
So I mean, we don't get things for free. We don't get fast and convenient
Yeah.
for free, and so
So
yeah.
yeah, the ethical part of this will have to come because maybe in England they don't have a problem with water. I remember 30 years
Hmm.
there, no problem. We have so much water, but I'm here in the Rocky Mountains, we have a problem with water.
Wow, really?
So yeah, there's gonna be in Cheyenne, which is an hour from here, a data
Yes.
center. They're gonna cool it with water.
Yes,
We
right, right.
hardly had any rain in the whole winter. Nothing.
So this is already a challenge. So
Where is that
yeah.
coming from? I mean, the salt
Yeah.
city, Salt Lake, that is
Yes.
almost dry. Where is the water gonna
Yeah.
come from? Data center. So that is beyond my capabilities. Maybe I should ask Gemini what do we do about that.
Yes, it is. Actually, AI is a good helper to help you figure out what to do with AI. It actually is because it is trying to more please you than please itself. Then it can help you come up with some creative ideas. But I think that yeah, what we need to do is almost like come like take get above the fray, all the noise, all the marketing of AI, all the hype, and start having real conversations with each other. And that's where I am trying to do that in the context of theater and theater arts. I mean, I'm going to have my play Anxious Attachment as part of a double feature. That'll be something. It's called Something Anxious because I'm taking Anxious Attachment and my friends play Something Ancient, which is a really fun play. We're doing a double feature because mine is so serious and dark. We're going to do mine first, and then we're going to cheer people up with his. That's going to be a lot of fun. But what I want to do is bring it to Hollywood Fringe so that we can have conversations around it. I want it to be a good conversation starter, something where people start to bring with them and understand, oh, maybe I am using AI a little bit too much to assuage my own anxieties, and then maybe it is affecting my relationships. I think that, in order to talk about it, we need things like art or other contexts to allow us a context to talk about it.
Yes. Final words. There will be maybe a
Mhm.
trailer. What would you say to people who are going a little bit too deep into the AI therapy and you think it's not going to be good?
Yeah. Well, actually, AI therapy is a very interesting thing too. Is that like you have to understand that the way it's programmed is it's programmed to please you, to give you what you want, and a real therapist is not going to do that, right? A real therapist is actually going to present you a mirror, a reflection of what they see, which is not the words you say. It's the expression on your face. It's the moments of silence. Those are things that AI will not even they don't even take as input. They're only taking the words. And so we have to understand that, we're giving it such a limited little slice of even who we are. And what it can do with that is very limiting as well. And it's going to, take this little bit of who we are as input and then give us something that it thinks we want to hear. I think that if we understand that, then we can understand it's not capable of what we may think it's capable of or what we hope it's capable of as far as taking care of our own psychology, of helping in ways that only in a way another human can. And so that's kind of the final word I want to give, is that you know don't just take my word for okay, if you feel like that hit you need and you want to use it, it's like then maybe there may be a problem. Actually take the time to understand what it is, the limited capacity it has, the limited amount of information we can exchange with an AI system, and just think on that and understand that that's nothing like what another human can give you. And that's all. Just start there. Just start to think there, and then ask questions, and talk to your friends. And that's what I want to offer at this point.
That's excellent. Well, thank you so much, Doug, for being with us. And I hope that the people listening to us will find this very useful so they can really create the life that they want with or without
Yes.
AI. And will share and subscribe so that we can bring more interesting stuff to all our listeners. So thank you so much. See you all next week. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you. Thank you, friends.